And we are live. It's showtime.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one, man. Spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Spirituality. It's time to get some answers, baby.
Oh, now we getting real.
It's time to get down. Yeah, you're gonna feel good now. Real good.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. Reality Spirituality. I'm your host, Global Happiness Specialist, Inner Peace Practitioner. I'm going to throw in Oracle, but most importantly, mother too. Fitness instructor plus a mother. I am a mother of one son, but most importantly, a student, just like you, just like anyone that is interested, that has a commitment, that is prioritizing this thing called happiness specialist. Who the hell does she think she is? And let me just share that when I say happiness, I'm talking about a personal energy, a personal vibration of contentment, regardless of what happens, regardless of what doesn't happen. Is it possible to maintain and sustain an energy of contentment, regardless of what the world throws at you? And the answer is yes. And the good news is happiness, contentment, inner peace, all of that is just a practice skill, like any other skill, from being a speaker, a painter, a musician, an athlete, a chef. It's just a practice. But what do you practice? Thank you for asking. You practice focusing on and eliminating all of these program behaviors that have been proven to subtract from that energy, from that vibration of happiness. And again, it is a vibration and energy of contentment, of peace. It has nothing, forget the word, forget the words. Focus on the energy. And is it possible? The answer is yes. Again, my latest book, Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. It's on Amazon. And in this book, I list 56 program behaviors. 56, that's a lot. When I say program behaviors, all of those behaviors that you learned or was conditioned to believe, brainwashed, whatever you want to call it, what you did not have when you popped out of the womb. For example, I like to use the term worrying. You know, when I ask people, do they worry? 90% of the population raises their hand and say, yeah, worrying is normal. Well, no, worrying is not normal. Worrying is another program. You didn't pop out of the womb knowing how to worry. So know that whatever you learned, you can unlearn. And all worry is, there's only two reasons why people worry, actually three. One is they were programmed. Worrying is just another program. Number two, lack of practicing trust. You can't trust and worry at the same time. So worrying just indicates a lack of trust. The other reason why people worry is just it becomes an addiction, just like any other addiction, to gambling, to drugs, to alcohol, to shopping, to food. Worrying becomes an addiction to worrying. That's right. I said it. And so being mindful, scratch that, being aware, and especially knowing self, and choosing to prioritize this energy of contentment, choosing to prioritize happiness is step number one. a lot of people, when I ask them, not a lot of people, but the majority of people, when I ask them, you want to be happier? Who wants to be happier? Everyone, yeah, of course, I do, of course. However, all the work is done in the mirror. All of the change, all of the challenges is done in the mirror. And how many how many people are running to the mirror to, oh, let's see, what do I need to change? What do I need to shift? How do I practice doing something different? And in fact, that's the title of today's topic, which is transcending, and transcending on steroids. And what does transcending means? Transcending means to rise above, do something different than what you've always already have been doing. Transcending means taking it to another level of practice, another level of behavior, another level of beliefs. And for me, and I can only speak for myself, for me, this awareness of how Rebecca used to behave, used to do instantly. And when I say behave, I mean an instant reaction. Is it possible? The answer is yes. Is it possible to, when you are in that state of being triggered, of being annoyed, of being irritated, of having your buttons pushed, is it possible to snap out of that automatic, robotic, this is what I always do? Is it possible to pause and choose a different behavior? It's not easy. It's not easy to do and to choose in the moment, in the middle of the storm, in the middle of the tornado, choosing something different. And when you practice doing that, number one, the practice becomes easier. Number two, the practice becomes part of your identity, part of who you are. Number three, the practice becomes, like anything else, a habit of transcending, a habit of recognizing that either in any moment you are identifying with your human self, your mind, your ego, the person, the name Rebecca, or you are identifying with or scratch that, consciousness, awareness, presence, which is, I don't like saying higher self, but an elevated version of self, a more conscious version of self, a spiritual version of self. And in any moment, regardless of what's happening, the awareness of choosing which entity I want to identify with is going to instantly bring me to a state of contentment, balance, ease, peace, happiness, that vibration. I've been doing this. When I say I've been doing this, I've been sharing what I've learned about this thing called happiness for decades now. And in fact, the last 15 years, I've been teaching the classes. It's called The Truth About Happiness. I taught the classes in California, in Oregon, Roseburg, Oregon, and now in Nevada. And that's 15 years of teaching, scratch that, of sharing information that I guarantee when practice, you will be able to experience more peace along the journey. And in fact, I give the students homework assignments every week. And of course they are not obligated to do the homework, only if they're inspired. But I wanted to share some of these homework answers to these questions. So hold on a second. Let me find something really good. Let me find something. Hold on. Okay. Let's do this. One of the homework assignments, it says list your top 3 current fears. Now, when asked to list your top 3 current fears, the reasoning behind that is number 1. What I found is whenever I express something out loud or I share it, a fear or something that's in the corner that I'm dragging out into the daylight, there is a transcending that state of the fear to exposing. When I expose whatever it is, whatever my mind or the ego has in the shadows, when it is exposed to light, the grip or the importance or the focus lessens. It the grip and the hold that this has, the fear has, lessens. The power lessens. The focus lessens. So here we go. List your top 3 current fears and why. Now, the first one that this is said, fear of growing old. Well, what a program, fear of growing old. And what can be practiced? I'm asking, what can be practiced, or what other belief can be inserted into this as opposed to fear of growing old? These common egoic mind human fears, it's like a pandemic, but the spotlight on them, the spotlight on the fears. I'm afraid of not being able to take care of myself, not being able to do the things I used to do. I'm afraid of being dependent on others. Now, hold on a second. I'm just going to read a couple more really quickly. Top 3 fears. I'm afraid of not reaching my goals because I really want it. I'm afraid of being rejected because my feelings could be hurt. I'm afraid of dying in a car accident because many people drive intoxicated. I'm afraid of losing my son to medical reasons or not getting along. I'm afraid of accidentally killing someone in my car because I didn't see them or react quickly enough. I'm afraid of being out of town when my mother dies. What do all of these fears have in common? And I'm just reading just a few. What do all of these fears have in common? Fear of losing more people that I love, fear of dementia. I love using my mind, and fear of losing that ability. Fear, my health, my wife's health, my kids, my grandchildren's health. What do all of these fears have in common? Well, what does fear have in common with anything? Okay, top 3 fears. Fear of being sick when traveling. Feels like I have less control being away from home and doctors. Fear of the unfamiliar, unsafe environments, not walking in neighborhoods that I don't know. Fear of being verbally confronted. Feel I need to defend myself rather than diffuse the situation or walking away. What do all of these fears have in common? And I even asked this question at the end of this homework assignment. List 3 things you used to be afraid of, but today you're not. Okay, let me answer the question. What do all of these fears have in common? Number 1, they're all in the future. All of these fears are future fears, future worries, future concerns, future focus in the future. The practice is when you want to experience more contentment, more happiness, more peace in the moment. The the practice is to live in the present moment. And this being in the future or living in the future, and especially with fears about the future, is another addiction, is another habit, is another program behavior. Living in, being in, focusing on the future. All of this, every single fear that I mentioned, losing my son to medical reasons, accidentally injuring somebody on the road, fears about finance, fears of dementia, fears of losing more people I love. All of these fears come from a sense of lack, a sense of worry, and it's all program behavior. And so, what do you do? What is the solution? What is the solution to practice living in the present moment and letting go of those future fears? What is the solution? I always got to have solutions. And there is a solution to every problem. I'm talking about a personal solution. Okay. Fear of being sick when traveling. Feels like I have less control. Unfamiliar, unsafe environments. Fear of being verbally confronted. This is one solution. Doesn't matter. Usually you go outside, possibly if possible, barefoot, feet on the ground, feet grounded on the grass, on the ground, wherever. Palms up in the air, palms up, hands up, palms up. I use the term universe. You can interchange it with God, source, higher power, all that there is. It doesn't matter. God, universe, source, palms up. How do I practice letting go of fear? Universe, God, source, higher power. How do I practice living in the present moment? Universe, God, source. How do I practice? How do I practice letting go, eliminating the beliefs, the program beliefs of fear, the programmed focus on fear? That's it. How do I practice? How do I let go? How do I practice trust? The fear, the future fear, it also indicates lack of trust. How do I practice experiencing more trust? That's it. That's easy. And then how do I practice having patience with the process? How do I practice having patience with my own growth, my own spiritual growth, my own awareness? How do I practice having more patience? How do I practice letting go of what my ego, of what the mind says is the truth? How do I practice having a stronger, a more intricate relationship with God, with the universe? How do I practice that? So I always ask the how do I practice questions. How do I practice transcending more and more and more every day? How do I practice transcending at least 5 times a day? There is always something to do on this journey. How do I practice transcending, practicing a different behavior at least 5 times a day? When I talk about transcending on steroids, that is, I'm going to say, the ultimate in the awareness and the bring me more opportunities to grow, bring me more opportunities to expand and get to another level of understanding, bring me more opportunities. I don't care how my ego claims that it's uncomfortable, it feels uncomfortable. Bring me more. That's transcending on steroids, asking for more, asking for more opportunities to take the behavior and beliefs to another level. What does transcending mean? Means doing something different, behaving in a different way. I don't even listen. 45 years of this, I can write out a text and read it before I send it and say, okay, did you have an agenda there? Is there an intention? What is your purpose? What is the reason? And I'll tell you this, 90% of the time, at least 90% of the time, guess what? I delete the text, I delete the email, I either don't send it or I write it again in a different way, so the energy is comparable to the universe put out, which is all love, all accepting. That's transcending. Being conscious enough, practicing being conscious enough that the behavior that was exhibited yesterday is no longer exhibiting today. That the reference to I and me is not referenced, is has nothing to do with the ego or the mind or the person. It is a higher, it is identifying with a higher entity. And I get it, human. But the practice right now, somebody asked me the other day, what did they ask me? Oh, it's something about we were dancing in class, and it was a woman, and she says, well, no, I'm not dancing with a woman. I said, I'm not a woman, I'm an alien. Identifying with other entities that are beyond this human identity, beyond. Transcending means to go beyond. And it's not comfortable, and it's not easy, and it is, but guess what? Talking about reaping the biggest rewards. Rewards meaning state of being, a state of being where everything feels new. Everything. Now I'm going to get, I'm feeling this, where everything is in awe, where life becomes, scratch the becomes, where life, I am in awe of just the mere existence, having the opportunity to exist. and being in this time and being grateful for that. That's another level of transcending. Transcending on steroids. Okay, here's another list 5 or more things you can't seem to stop doing. Okay. 5 or more things you can't seem to stop doing. Having expectations, always letting certain things trigger me, overanalyzing, ruminating if something negative pops into my head, wanting to see wanting to see people held accountable, procrastinating for their wanting to see people being held accountable for their behavior. What an interesting comment. And you know what that indicates? That indicates that a person is mm, number one, focusing on something outside of themselves, focusing on something outside of the person in the mirror. Number two, thinking that their behavior never is perfect behavior, never needs to be held accountable for. Okay. I said that. Not wanting to disappoint others. Listen, one of the things that I share in the book Program for Unhappiness, and one of the 58 program behaviors is having expectations. And so one of the things that I talk about is these people, when I say these people, these program people having expectations of someone else is always going to lead to disappointment, is always going to lead to heartbreak, is always going to lead to pointing the finger and saying that you did this or you are making me feel a certain way. And I'm here to tell you that people's expectations are their own. And I don't have the power to make anybody to disappoint anybody. If they're disappointed, it just means that they have expectations. Is that my fault that they have expectations? Absolutely not. Feeling guilty if I let somebody else down. Well, that's another thing. This one of the things that I share is, and I'm going to share it again. It's one of my analogies. So you are either acting as a star or a sun, a star or a sun, which is self-contained. You don't the sun doesn't need another star or another sun to put, to give it more light or more heat or more energy. It's self-contained. But the planets, the Earth, Mars, Venus, Neptune, Saturn, I'm so upset that they let go of Pluto. Pluto, Uranus, Mercury, all of the planets need sun, star, moon to survive, especially to have let's just stick with Earth, to have life. Need the sun, need the moon, need the star to exist. And I contend that just like a planet or the sun or a star, sun is a star, is that either you are operating out of need for others, need for something external, or you are self-contained. Which entity do you think is going to be happier or going to be able to experience more contentment? This needing other people to behave in a certain way or the world to unfold in a certain way, that is a judgment here, is it's just going to offer more dissatisfaction, is never going to be a place of peace. Practice Scratch that. Practicing trusting and believing that everything is in order then and everything is unfolding the way that it is supposed to unfold. All of it is in divine order. Practicing trusting that, I guarantee there's going to be more peace and more happiness in on the journey. Again, the topic is transcending on steroids. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Sometimes it doesn't feel too good. Sometimes it feels very it feels very it feels what the ego would say is not good or a little anxious. But I'm here to tell you that all feelings, that all emotions, that everything that I am experiencing, and if it's true for me, it's going to be true for you. Everything that I'm experiencing is here for a reason. What do I have planned for the rest of my life, for the rest of the day, for the rest of the weekend? Is practicing more transcending. Let's go. Am I able to let go of the stories? Am I able to focus on, scratch that. Am I able to let go and focus on what is real and focus on the truth, which is God, consciousness, spirit is living through this body. Well, unless I have any questions, are there any questions? Hopefully next week, well, I don't know for sure, how everything falls into place or not. We will be able to be live again on, hold on a second, let me double check. No. Live again on Noon Vibe. However, that's not happened. That's not now. But anyway, that's the end of today's show. Transcending on steroids. What does that mean? That means to practice staying open, living in the present moment, practice hungering for, desiring, wanting more opportunities that will eventually, even in the moment, but that will eventually solidify this sense of freedom. Remember, the ego, the mind, the human is constricting. Freedom is acceptance of all experiences, regardless of how they feel or they look. Well, that's the end of today's show. Thank you for listening. Reality Spirituality is heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and also every Saturday morning at 9:15. I do a show. It's a live show on YouTube with my son. It's called What Happens When a Mother and Son Make Sense Out of Nonsense, plus more. That's heard every Saturday morning at 9:15 live on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. My website is RebeccaNorrington.com. Follow me on Twitter at RL Norrington. I'm on LinkedIn. My Instagram handle is Reality Spirituality. And the YouTube channel is growing so quickly. And I'm just really, really pleased with the different shorts and the different videos that are on the YouTube channel now. My first book, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, can be purchased on Amazon. And my most recent book It's called Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. That's on Amazon also. I am going to be videotaping, making an audio book, but hopefully that happens within the next 30 days. Until next week, my dear audience, I want you to remember who the hell you are. You are a physical extension of the universe. Your conscious energy, which is always evolving, always changing, always growing. Love is patient and love is kind. Be patient and be kind to yourself by accepting yourself in every single moment. Be your own best friend. Remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. It is about the journey. And that's a quote from Abraham Hicks. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality Radio with yours truly, global happiness specialist, inner peace practitioner, teacher, student, mother, fitness instructor, blah, blah, blah. Remember, happiness is a practiced skill. And I promise you, the more you practice, the more peace you're going to find, and your experience in every moment reflects on what you practice. Have a conscious week. Thank you for listening. And let's practice transcending this week. Let's practice asking for more opportunities to transcend. And the reason for that is the more transcending, the more the behavior shifts, the more the conscious behavior that is chosen, the more behavior that is going to bring more peace, the more freedom. It's just that simple. Okay. Hold on, I got to cue up my theme song. Theme song. One of these days, I'm going to have a producer and a director. I don't need an editor. I don't edit anything. Oh, and here we go. The theme song is going to be queued up, and here we go. Till next week.
Oh, it's time to get real. It's a new experience. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one. You got a question for RLM? It's time to get some answers, baby.
Oh, now we getting real.
It's time to get down. Yeah, you gonna feel good now. Real good. Now, that's what I'm talking about.
One of these days, I'm going to have a producer and a director, but it's not today.